Well, his headline sums it up. Washington is an unruly sandbox with squabbles, antics, and tantrums. Of course, the article, it is talking about the tit for tat between President Trump and Nancy Pelosi. It started when Speaker Pelosi said the president ought to consider canceling or delaying the State of the Union address due to security concerns over the shutdown. Then President Trump canceled the military aircraft Pelosi was going to take for a visit along with colleagues to the troops in Afghanistan with a stop with allies in Brussels. Now I'm back now with former Senator Barbara Boxer, Democrat from California. Obviously, Senator, none of this is happening in a vacuum. We have the government shut down here and there's no end in sight to it. You've seen what's played out this week. I'll tell you, for the general person out there, even though I don't think they're the same thing, they say, oh, Nancy Pelosi and Trump, it's like a kindergarten playpen in there in terms of, threatening to not have the State of the Union, then pulling her plane off the tarmac. What's your reaction when you see this play out and you're having a more and more frustrated electorate who just wants the government open?
Well, first of all, I know Nancy Pelosi for so many years. We go back to the 80s. We served together in the Congress. And she is a smart, effective legislator. She is not in a playpen. Let's be clear about that. What she said was appropriate. Dear Mr. President, in a very respectful letter, you want to make a speech in front of Congress. The government is shut down. It's a security risk because everyone is in that room. And by the way, I've been to more than 30 of those as a member of either the House or Senate. And it's true, the Supreme Court is there. The administration is there. The leaders of our military are there. Everyone's in the same room. And with the government shut down and people not getting paid, it's very grown up to suggest that A, stop the shutdown and then we welcome you, or B, postpone it until we've got this resolved. There is no equivalency between asking someone to postpone a speech and undermining a national security trip by the Speaker of the House and a delegation. This was not a vacation. It's outrageous, and it's all a distraction. Trump would love nothing more than to let people think this is a tete-a-tete kind of a silly battle. It isn't. The fact is, the president made a commitment to the people that Mexico would pay for the wall. He said it 1,000 times. We all heard, oh, they'll love it, they'll pay for it. Well, they didn't. He failed. He couldn't even get a wall through when he owned the House, the Senate, and the White House. Now, after an election where Democrats clean their clock, he wants to use $5 billion for a wall. Now, let's be clear, there's an easy way out of this. Democrats always want border security. We just want to do it in a smart way. Let's open the government. He's got 800,000 people shut out of their paychecks, plus all the members of their families that are so worried. That's millions of people. He's got contractors in the private sector who may never get paid. He's got small businesses all over the country that rely on parks being open, rely on Superfund sites being cleaned up, and all the personnel that's there to run to the corner grocery store or run to the restaurant. We're in a mess. And all he has to do is say, you know what? We're going to argue about this. Let's all agree to do border security. We'll have hearings on the best way to do it, and this would be over. And by the way, Mitch McConnell, all he has to do is allow a vote to open up the government. This is one budget item, and all these employees are paying a price because of it. It is immature, and also it was done because Rush Limbaugh told him to do it. It's ridiculous.
You know, you mentioned elections, and given the stakes of 2020, I had a conversation off the record with some of the members of the same congressional delegation as Ocasio-Cortez. And for what I could say on TV, they said the agita, right? That I don't want to be answering questions about a 70% tax rate on the top income bracket. And even if these are overdue conversations, the argument they say is we got to win back the moderates that we lost in 16. We don't need to be, having these kind of debates and fights. What do you say as a party is the smart move? Do you go to the progressives like Republicans go to their base, or do you try and bring back the middle? Because I don't know there's a message that applies to both.
Well, I think there is a message that applies to both. And in all my years that I've run, and I've run statewide 4 times, and I won, and no one thought I could win because I was a big progressive, okay? And our state started off, it was really red, then it was purple, and finally it was blue, and then I decided not to run once it was really blue. It shows you how smart I am. But the bottom line is, here's what I think. People are alike in this sense. What do they want? They want to breathe clean air. They want to drink clean water. No one ever came up to me and told me the water was too clean and the air was too clean, okay? They want that. They want peace in the world. They want that. So they want to make sure we're working on that and that we work with our allies to make sure there's peace in the world. Getting close to home, they want good jobs. They want good education for their children. They want health care they can rely on. They want to make sure their communities are safe. This is simple stuff. So what unites Democrats is we're in there to make sure life is better for people. Now, we may disagree on how to get there. I am the strongest proponent of climate change legislation, and it's well overdue, because if we don't have a hospitable planet, our grandkids are in deep trouble. So we can unite people around that. Do we disagree around the edges on how to get there? We may. But I think our strength is in being a big, broad umbrella. And we'll fight it out. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't have to all dance to the same tune of what legislation we want. But if we stand for a better life for our people, I think we unite everyone, including the middle class, the poor, the wealthy, for God's sake. They don't want their grandkids not to be able to live because climate change is so bad, the planet's inhospitable. That's how I look at why I'm a Democrat. We should be a big, broad umbrella.
We appreciate you finding a few minutes to give us tonight. Senator, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Up next, Andrew's going to take it from here, and we're going to put a human face. When we talk about the shutdown, we talk about numbers and days. Well, how about the people? A lot suffering and struggling in real ways. We'll introduce you to some of these folks and hear their stories.